Yeah,
All right, you're ready to go.
thank you. So, hello everybody. My name is Alex. I'm from Onlim. We are a conversational enterprise platform AI provider based, of course, on knowledge graphs. And what I will present today is how you can unleash conversational excellence and what is the power actually of knowledge graphs, and also how you complement it with the large language models and why knowledge graphs and large language models are a perfect match here. So what we are going, or what I will go to cover here is how user experience dictates the change here. So what is going on the internationally in this area? What is the perfect match here? Of course, with knowledge graphs and large language models, and why the two technologies really fit quite well together. And I will go in a couple of use cases that I present to you. And then, of course, I'm happy to answer a couple of questions. So a couple of words myself. I'm CEO and co-founder of Onlim. And my background is I'm an electrical engineer, but working in the AI space and semantic space for many, many years. So deep experience here. And Onlim, it's actually an academic spin-off, but we have now more than 40 plus international experts already on board, are having more than 100 customers also here. And our product is an enterprise conversational AI platform that is based on the one hand on knowledge graphs, and on the other hand, also we use, of course, different types of natural language understanding technologies, including large language models to get actually excellent conversation upon any data that are you providing to us. So just short overview that you see who we are working with. So we have different customers, mainly in the DACH area at the moment, which means Austria, Germany, Switzerland, but also Italy, and working with really great brands like One and One, providing GNX WebD brand, or also customers in the tourism utility sector. And we are generally vertical agnostic, so we can provide any use case here. And of course, we have a couple of verticals we are specialized. So what I want to focus here is a little bit, so I think everybody, we are now 1 year since, I think last year, in November, ChatGPT and OpenAI launched actually their open AI product. And what we have seen actually the last 12 months was a kind of really a speed race with this technology. So not only in terms of large language models, where of course OpenAI dominated the market here, but also then of course Google was coming up with their product. Other big companies, also Aleph Alpha in Germany. And what we have seen here, we experimented ourselves quite long time already with large language models. We have seen it's the first time that you really can do something useful, that it's really great technology that you have here, and then also sometimes complemented, of course, also like ChatGPT with plugin technology that you can integrate data. And now everybody is maybe aware also what is going on already with GPT-4, also all the enhancement in integrating data, integrating different types of data, and so on. The other point is, of course, we also see the race in that space, as I mentioned already, that of course other companies followed. We're also seeing, of course, already quite open source solutions that are coming up here. And the other point is it's also a breakthrough, of course, in conversational technology. So we see first time, also we are quite long time in the chatbot business already, and we have seen, of course, good use cases, and also use cases that provided good return of investment effects. but now everything gets smoother, and all the usability that you get here in these applications are really smart. And this is also where you see, okay, now it's the next level of AI and voice controlled systems that, of course, all these changes are dominating. And what does this mean, of course, for all the companies here? So the point is also how you should handle large language models. How should you also handle large language models and integrate it with your existing software applications, or also with your knowledge graphs here? And how do you manage actually data at the end of the day? This was a challenge also we as Onlim had to address, because we had to challenge how we can extend our existing knowledge graph and conversational AI platform here. And I think it's a question everybody has to answer. Are you a pilot? Are you co-pilot? Or are you just a passenger? And what are the risks here if you don't do it or if you do it? And this is, I think, for all of us working in the technology area, a kind of decision making we have to do. And I will tell you a little bit why I think you should be a pilot, or at least a co-pilot in what you're doing here, and not just looking and say, okay, wait, the technology is maybe coming to me or provides some benefit that I can use at the end of the day. So a couple of things, I think you heard it quite often already. I will jump through this content. I think also what we learned is, of course, suddenly a new prompt engineering becomes a new discipline. So that means you can manage your data, you integrate your data, you say, okay, hey, I need some metadata, combine it, data, get me some entity extraction or format the text in a way. So everything quite easygoing you can do with a prompt. And this is, of course, on the one hand, easygoing, but what I also quite often see that people are at the level of these experiments, and of course, integrating the type of technology in your enterprise application is something completely different than just saying, okay, I use ChatGPT, or I use the API of ChatGPT and build a smart demo. And when you want to build really enterprise applications, you have to do more with the technology, and then it becomes more enhanced. But nevertheless, I think the message here is a clear one. With the discipline of prompt engineering, everything that you can do here with your data, and I'll let you also know what you can do, or how we see it also as a really complementary technology for knowledge graphs here, is something great. So one more point on the user experience here, and this is also when you look at what I said in the beginning. On the one hand, we have the technology here that also provides really great speed. On the other hand, is also what is now really the user experience with the conversational AI factor, and why I clearly see that, of course, conversational AI is something that really is the next thing on top of your data. And this is always, when you look what was the breakthrough for specific technologies, this was always the user experience. It was the user experience in the hypertext browser. When the internet really came along, it was the Apple iPhone, where we really start to use smartphones. And I think some of you maybe remember still the good old days of the Nokia communicator, and also in other online technologies like booking technologies or e-commerce. It was definitely the point where a big platform showed how online booking and e-commerce works, and this influenced, of course, the way how we did commerce in the internet. And the same thing is what we have now with ChatGPT and Co. So this was an enabler that we really now see. It's not a technology that is implemented in a couple of chatbots that people use on their website, but it's a technology that really has a big impact and will change the way how we interact with our data, how we make it decision making, and many other activities that we actually at the moment use to do with our smartphones, with our browser, and it will become the next big things here, how we really interact. So in that sense, now coming back a little bit, so this is of course the vision on the economic point of view, also the reason why I think it's necessary that everybody that is out there and building application or also see, okay, what should I do with AI, has a clear thing. So that means, okay, we have a change that we access data and information in a different way. We have a different user experience. We have different behavior. And now we need, of course, to see, okay, how can we establish a good conversational user experience? And the point here is, and this is also, of course, we as a company use knowledge graph as a underlying knowledge base for any conversation quite a long time, because we have seen it's flexible, it provides us a lot of open possibility, how we can, when we detected the intent, how we can actually do a conversation. And what we have seen is, of course, okay, it is a technology, it costs us quite a lot of work, sometimes in the onboarding. So you have to build a knowledge graph, then you also have to map the intents to the knowledge graph, run the queries. We did a lot of optimizations and automation there. And then when we see now, okay, the large language models are working, we have seen, okay, we can suddenly use those large language models in the data ingestion process. That means it's much more faster for us now to build the knowledge graph. We also use unstructured data. And of course, in the conversational AI part, where we configure first, need to configure and train first the conversational AI part, we just can skip this training part, because we can use, of course, the natural language understanding of the large language model to get the entities, to get the intent query directly, either the knowledge graph or just use the large language model in combination with vector stores and the embeddings to find the right documents that will answer the questions and provide a smart question back in natural language. And also here, the natural language generation became much smoother here. So in that sense, perfect match. So I think large language models have definitely been a kind of missing link that complements, I think, the full technology stack of an enterprise conversational AI platform. And we can, of course, here have the benefits of effect search, where we can use the knowledge graph. This is the really big advantage, but we also can access maybe the knowledge of large language models. We can also generate hybrid answers that we combine the knowledge of the that we get the knowledge of the knowledge graph and then use the large language models, of course, for a smart answer, exactly as I described it before. And on the other hand, on the data ingestion part is, of course, we now don't use actually, we don't need to really run these old rule-based systems in text analytics to get unstructured content out of it, but it's easy to do entity recognition based on knowledge graphs. You can, of course, also combine text, format it, run summaries, and so on. And it provides, of course, also a great question and answering system when you use the large language models in combination with those technologies. And here you see maybe a couple of examples here. As I said, this is how we structure actually the content in our bots. So we have a search, but we also have a dialogue chatbot. So this is a widget that is a little bit larger, that you get a better user experience. And here is an answer coming in. And what we are doing, we now have the chance. So we make a decision if the answer is directly covered. If we find the right document that is embedded, we can also link it then to the knowledge graph, and in that sense always have at any question the option to do either an intent-based answering or just use the large language model, and then of course also combine it in the natural language generation that the answer is formatted in a quite nice way. Here you see also an example where we did a combination. It's a tourism part, so this is content that is also coming out of the knowledge graph, but we also have linked actually the web content, and in that sense the websites are linked here. It's also then you see that the references are here. This is quite necessary because that you can validate it. So still, of course, some hallucination in the technology of the large language model. Therefore, we are also working quite intensively that we really see that we can query the knowledge graph, that we get facts out of it directly, and not let the large language model answer the question, because if you have overlapping content, you get, of course, you have the risk that the hallucination is there, especially when we have facts like numbers or such things, but it's working really great, and we have implemented this combination here in these types of applications, and I think it's a big step forward in type of user experience here. We also have applications that are more complex. In that sense, we have here, for example, an application in the legal tech area, and the application in the legal tech area is we now build an application where we actually got a full book on family rights from a German provider, a media company here, and we are really able also to really answer detailed legal questions on the paragraphs of the book, linked to the paragraphs, and this is exactly also how we have set up the combination of these two technologies here in the use case examples. And yes, I was rushing maybe a little bit through my presentation, but I'm also, of course, open for questions here that I can answer. And I'm using a slide here that I used already for, I think, 2 years in my presentations. And I still keep it because I think what is showing this slide, and also the references of the two movies that we have here, is I think is the type of future, or I at least imagine what we will see, not maybe in a couple of years, but maybe already in a couple of months, or at least we are really getting close to this. And some of you maybe will recognize the two movies. It's from Ex Machina and also from Her. And this is that we really get same as I have in my earplugs. And unfortunately, I'm sitting in a hotel lobby because I couldn't make it back after a meeting to my office. And in that sense is we are running dialogues, and dialogues means we have this interaction between humans and machines, and the interaction can just be any type of interaction. Maybe it's just for fun because you want to talk to somebody, but also in many use cases, in many of your activities in your business life. And it's the information query. We have, for example, many use cases in the customer service sector. You have a problem, and I think the easiest way is, of course, if you get an appropriate answer to this problem, and you can directly solve it yourself before you have to send a ticket, ask somebody else, and you have to wait that somebody responds to the ticket. It's also then the analysis that you are creating. So I think we have many questions to make also then where you need to analyze any numbers you want to get. What is my revenue? How many customers did sales close? So it's CRM questions, financial question, whatever actually you need for your work. And I think it would be great exactly in this combination with knowledge graph and large language models, because of course you want to trust your data and in that sense get this out. And it's also at the end of the day the execution of tasks, because also in the tourism sector now you can ask question, okay, please find me some nice hotels, and you run a conversation on it, but maybe also then you say, okay, I found a hotel and please book this hotel for me, and I don't want to go then to an input mask and do some onboarding that maybe fails and so on. So this is everything what you can do through the conversation. And it's also here you need a joint and unified semantics, running those tasks, bringing these different technologies together. And this is also to close the presentation, also what I said with the beginning, in this plugin technology, for example, also ChatGPT sorry, shows already how we can do this. And then it's of course big sync decision making, and you have different thousands or hundreds of questions each day because you need to make decisions. And this is definitely something also of course we need it's much more easier if I can get really good answers that are fact-based with references, and I don't need maybe to do a long research for it or ask somebody to do it for me. And this is a lot of things on a high level that I think we will really see in future. And summarizing, as I said already, yes, we are getting closer to this reality, and I think part of it has already arrived. And I think it's something I never have seen such exciting product development cycles in my career as now. And I'm looking forward already to the next level of applications that exactly brings us towards this vision of a kind of super intelligence for conversations, and to the next level of how we interact with data, with information, and that will automate many things and makes hopefully also a little bit more life easier, but also brings some fun together. So key takeaways, and then I'm finishing already. So knowledge graph built the data foundations for good conversation. I think that's very, very important. Also, we made the experience here. We thought, okay, we can replace everything maybe by the large language model, but when you build application, you're going quite soon back to the knowledge graphs, because the data foundation that you build in a knowledge graph will replace nothing here. And therefore, really, this combination is quite key. And on the other hand, yes, the large language models provide this type of smooth dialogues. And I think most important is, also was on a panel yesterday, we have still 80% of our data is unstructured data. And it provides, of course, now a really new way how you can create structured data, unstructured data, or just integrate those unstructured data and have a smart conversation. And in that sense, when you build applications, I think having those two technologies as an underlying technologies, knowledge graph and large language models, then you are prepared for future of enterprise AI applications. And this is exactly what we from Onlim are doing here in our platform. We made really great experience with these two technologies, and are quite happy to really get any type of problem solving that we need for our customers here out of it with these two types of really enhanced technologies that we have integrated here. So thanks a lot for your time, and I'm happy to take some questions here.
Great. Thank you so much, Alex. Yes, we do have some questions, so we will start with the first one. Elliot asked, can you clarify the nature and extent of your solution's ability to produce Sparkle queries on the basis of natural language inputs?
Yeah, so this is a topic. We will soon launch it in the product. It's still in the research. What we will do here is, and this is the advantage that we are not a newcomer in the market, so that we use the large language model um, as a natural language understanding to detect actually the right intent. And we have on the intents, we have already implemented how we can, when we detected the different parameters and the intent, that we create out a Sparkle query to query the knowledge graph and provide the answer back. And this is the application that we are setting up at the moment. So we are quite close here on our side. And the next step will be maybe use the large language model completely as a natural language understanding component and create here the Sparkle query then for the knowledge graph. But the first application, since we have history that is ready, so this is the way for us how we are going to implement it, and it's already tested and it will be launched still this year, this type of querying in our products.
Great. The next question we have is from Richard. Could you share some implementation details of the linkage of knowledge graphs to large language models? Is this an OpenAI plugin? What is your general experience using this tool?
Yeah, so we are using actually the Microsoft large language model here. This is due to this GDPR compliance. And what we are doing is we have integrated, actually, we're not only using the APIs, but we have integrated it in an enhanced way in our architecture. So we integrate using a vector store, building then the embeddings here, and then using with our app store, we built actually the applications, the workflows, then to run the dialogues to the natural language understanding, find the right embeddings, link it to the knowledge graph, and so we can provide, on the one hand, the references that we found out in the vector store, in the embeddings, but also the links to the knowledge graph. So it's not a straightforward technology, but it's also this usage that we are doing. It's standard in some applications, like LangChain and others are using similar architecture setup.
Okay, great. And I think we have time for one more question from Frank. Does knowledge graph really reduce or eliminate hallucinations of a large language model? Large language models just predict answers. Is this not the same with a knowledge graph as knowledge in the background, like we have vector databases behind?
So it was a little bit an enhanced answer. So when I understand it right, this is exactly the challenge, of course, that you have to solve. And what we are doing is we building in a kind of decision making. That means that we decide when do we want to run, when do we need effect knowledge that we get out of the knowledge graph, and when we can take the knowledge out of the vector store embeddings and the documents that we have here. And this is something what we experimented here, also developed quite further, and it's not as straightforward, but you really have now to see what are the use cases, what are decisions, when it's better to get the knowledge directly from the knowledge graph, how you link those data. And this is something where you can also then get, of course, the hallucinations out of it, and it always depends on the type of data. As you said, overlapping data in numbers and all the stuff, you easily get hallucinations. And here is exactly what we see. Effect knowledge from the knowledge graph is better.
We may have time for one more question. Let's see. This comes from M. Lame. How might large language models and interference capabilities, of knowledge graphs compete with each other or complement each other?
So, sorry, which how? Okay, it's as I said, it's our experience is it's a rather clear one. When we started, and it was, of course, for us, it was a kind of race in the product because we had the knowledge graph there. We had natural language understanding, everything set up, and then we said, okay, shit, we can do everything actually with the large language models. And when on the high level, yes, you can do a lot of things with the large language model, but when you're really going down on an enterprise level, you would need really these hard facts, this data that you modeled. And I had all afternoon I was talking to a customer who is building a knowledge graph in health sector medicine, and there is no way for another technology. There is no discussion that you can say, okay, make a decision making in medicine, in health sector, where a doctor maybe then gets an advice how what medicine or what is the how the patient how you should treat the patient. This is something where you will need the trust of a knowledge graph. But of course, what we are doing, for example, here, and this is a nice use case, we are doing a complementary. We can link, for example, a lot of anonymized patient data with it to get better decision making out of it. And this makes it so nice at the moment so that you really can say, okay, I built my ontology, I have my hard facts, but now I can get thousands of unstructured data and make the knowledge graph even more comprehensive because you can then make statistical decisions and say, okay, I have now patient A, this treatment was good for patient A, it didn't work. And doing this type of applications, this is really something where you see clear use cases now in the complementation of both technologies.
Wonderful. Well, that brings us to this session. So thank you so much, Alex, for your time and insight here. And thanks everybody for all of your great questions. If there's any other questions, feel free to visit the OnLim booth and drop them in there. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Do. It was nice to have this session. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.